I'm delighted our next regional update, we're going to Denmark. I've got the great pleasure of introducing a current ISPA Fellow and the founding producer of the Danish showcase at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, Karen Toftegaard. Please join me in welcoming Karen.
Hi. Thank you so much to David and Mara for inviting me to do this regional update on Denmark. My professional vision. Oh my God, I gotta find this one. Hey, just 2 seconds. Yes. That's me in Edinburgh. No, but so I was actually very happy when they asked me, because my professional vision the last 7 years has been to be committed to strengthening the stories about performing arts in Denmark, making it visible in the international field. I speak from a point of where I have contributed within 2 different framings, and as the founding producer of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, not Edinburgh Festival Fringe, the Showcase Danish at Edinburgh Festival Fringe, which is the world's biggest festival, and then Copenhagen Stage, which is the National Festival of Denmark, which is Denmark, one of the smallest countries in the world. I grew up on a family farm in the north of Denmark. So that was run in a collaboration between my dad, his brother, and his granddad. So when I was 20, I completely changed the scenery and moved to the cultural fields in Copenhagen, Berlin, and Paris. Now, for several years, I've been based in Copenhagen. However, this means that my approach to the arts is both pragmatic, poetic, but also carried by a big curiosity towards what I don't know. There's a lot. Definitely. During these 10 minutes, I want to make sure I share the most important things with you, so I'll be sticking to the script here. So I'm not going to improvise or anything. Promise myself not to do that. So whoever wants the juicy sides on this, let's talk later, or grab one of the other Danes here in New York these days. Yeah, so Denmark. Denmark is... Yeah, Shakespeare claimed in Hamlet that there is something rotten in the state of Denmark. The Danish national anthem claims otherwise. It starts with, the first line is, "There is a lovely country." So I aim to embrace this ambiguity between different perspectives on Denmark throughout this short introduction. Denmark is a small country, however, with a colonial past and presence that we're slowly facing these years. We're facing that we're still in the role of being colonizer, while aiming at giving space to the traumatic stories that from the cultural imperialism we imposed on Greenland. We're trying to understand now how past generations destroyed Greenland's Inuit culture, and we're aiming to make, there was a convincing that we would be better to make the Greenlandic people Danish. We're now trying to understand how to heal this destruction and to give space to Greenland's claim to be independent. Faroe Islands is far more belonging to a Nordic self-understanding, so that's another story. Later on, I'm going to give 4 concrete examples of artistic companies in the unity of the realm, but first I'll give you some cultural context about the mindset in Denmark. So Denmark is a democracy, and it is one of the oldest monarchies in the world. Maybe you've heard some stories about that right now in the moment. We used to be the happiest people in the world, but we actually got beaten by Finland. So now we are number 2. We are the second happiest people in the world, going strong on that. And it's a small population with only 5.9 million people in Denmark, and 0.07% of the total world population. So Denmark is a small country that has both something rotten and something lovely. So I think it is the mindset and the cultural sensitivity that is the most interesting when working internationally, as it makes me learn more what is important and valuable to people from different cultures. One of the core Danish values comes from the fact that the last 200 years, Denmark has been shaped by the Ø is coming, so højskole movement. So the idea with the højskole was to make schools to give grown-up people life education, life information. So the højskole movement educated the Danish society from being a farmer country to becoming a country with a large, well-educated middle class, nurturing the notion of social mobility as education and healthcare is paid for by our tax system. The notion of giving space to every position, every opinion can be considered naive and even ignorant. However, it relies on a firm belief in democracy and freedom of speech. The works you see from Denmark often exhibit social awareness, and in them there is an open exploration that takes place without providing answers. That power is solely given to their audiences. This means that while some cultures would decide not to give platform to certain groups of people with mindsets that may strike as disturbing to some, in Denmark, dialogue is key and also giving space to every kind of position. I'm totally aware of the pros and cons to that, however, choosing to stand in the ambiguity with a focus on dialogue. There is also a national movement in the performing arts field in Denmark that chooses to work more sustainably. Furthermore, the last years, more and more cultural organizations have committed to creating safe workspaces and have developed policies on harassment, bullying, fair collaboration, and ESG, environmental, social, and governance, which means, in practicality, a more holistic approach to sustainable leadership and business development. And now I'm going to give some concrete artistic examples from Denmark, Greenland, and Faroe Islands. It is safe to say that Fix and Foxy is one of Denmark's most significant independent theatre companies. They have won a long row of awards in Denmark, and the last years they have deeply embraced their international ambitions. Last summer, they rocked Edinburgh Festival Fringe with their show Dark Noon, an outsider view on United States of America's settler history. One of Fix and Fox's strongest points is their ability to twist your mind and present perspectives less ordinary, often cutting through the safe conviction that permeates society. You can experience their work in New York this summer. That is, if you are in New York. So, and then to counterpoint, we also have a dance company that is the Danish Dance Theatre has been working internationally for many years, and it's Denmark's leading contemporary dance company. They have recently gotten a new artistic director, the Spanish-born Marina Mascarell. She is dedicated to creating a safe and diverse workspace and to developing the dancers, having a background as a dancer herself. Next week, there is a Danish premiere on her work, Mongrel, which here she addresses the typical Danish law, the law of Jante. That means don't ever believe that you are more than anyone else. It's a phenomenon that she recognizes from her own country, her own culture, and I believe that every single one in this room has experienced being hit by the invisible law that wants to standardize everyone, cutting people short. The National Theatre of Greenland is the leading theatre company in Greenland. They just got a new artistic director, Vivi Sørensen. She was born and raised in Nuuk, the capital of Greenland. The purpose of the theatre is to produce a repertoire of high artistic quality within the performing arts, which is based on the Greenlandic culture and traditions. The National Theatre of Greenland is also responsible for educating actors through a two-year education program. Both the theatre and the school has played a tremendous role in resurrecting the Inuit mask and drum dance culture, which was previously banned by the Danish government. The theatre contributes to the Greenlandic art and culture by engaging in international professional productions and collective projects. And then, this is one of my favorites personally. Riva is the first, these two young women, they are amazing, just gonna say. Riva is the very first contemporary dance company in the Faroe Islands. Their goal is to create more opportunities, work opportunities for dance artists in and from the Faroe Islands. It is to contribute to the development of the dance environment on the islands and create high artistic quality. So, I also wanna, you can take your phone, you can do whatever you want. But here is your opportunity to actually get more information about the performing arts from Denmark, Greenland, and the Faroe Islands. The two first websites contain an archive of selected works presented at Copenhagen Stage International Days and Danish at Edinburgh Festival Fringe. The third one is an article that Greenlandic artist Siri Paulsen made in collaboration with IGM when it happened in Copenhagen. So the final one is you can sign up if you want to go to Denmark and see some works there. We also present a few works from Greenland and Faroe Islands. You can sign up here. We have a visitors program with 60 to 80 international guests. And then finally, it's a little bit over time, but this is important. I want to thank the people who helped with input and feedback on this brief introduction. International producer Sigrid Åkvik from Art and About, Administrative Director Søren Norman Hansen from the Royal Danish Ballet, Creative and Executive Director Lotte Kofod Ludvigsen from Bora Bora, both previous ISPA Fellows from Denmark, Director Mikkel Harder Munk from the Development Platform, my colleagues at Copenhagen Stage, and of course my dear colleague Sarah Box from Voltopia. Thank you to them, and thank you to you.